Salute to you all. The brave never fall. Self-love through freedom and connection. So feel free to connect to the brave never fall on these social media platforms. If you find anything of value in this following podcast, hit that like button, subscribe and share, and support the brave and bold tribe growing one purposeful soul at a time. How are you feeling? Take a moment to do a self-check-in for yourself. How are you feeling mentally? How are you feeling emotionally? How are you feeling physically? How are you feeling spiritually? Are you feeling balanced? Are you still journeying on an intentional, purposeful path? How are you feeling? Balancing yourself is a healthy, daily practice that will reliably keep you in harmony with your entire mind, body, heart, and soul. Clear your mind. Take a moment of silence for yourself. Right now, in the moment. You are here now. How are you feeling? A simple life is an easy life. Simple is better. Maybe we can find value in adding things on of value, which can, I guess, if you look at it a certain way, could make life appear to be more complicated than it actually is. But that is up to each individual to decide for themselves. If you are a person who values silence and solitude, and you're living in your peace and your joy, other people may look at that and say that is a very simple, peaceful life. But there's someone else who may be out running their businesses, doing entrepreneur work. They're a pastor, they're a fireman, they could be anything in life. And to them, that is very simple. Then you have people who are adventurous. They go out and they They do daring things. They risk life. They adventure, and they want to have a new experience every day. But to them, that is simple. A simple life is an easy life because it is our life. And if we're aligned with what we're doing and it's bringing us purpose, that simplicity is all you need. The simplicity of life to the fullest. It doesn't have to be hard and complicated, and you don't always have to be having blood, sweat, and tears to feel like you're getting the most out of life. Life is what you make of it. And it's simple and easy when you're aligned with everything that is happening in your life. Everything and everyone, every place, everything around you is lining up. And that is what makes life so damn simple, is when everything is lining up and you can see it and feel it and know that everything is where it's supposed to be. You've made it, and you've appreciated life. You're grateful for whoever's around you and whatever you have and all the places you've been and all the places you'll go. Life will feel so easy, so joyful, so peaceful, so simple when you're aligned with who you are. A Norwegian dream can be described as a life that is purely simple, a life of just the simplest basic necessities: food, water, shelter, work, nothing but the essential basic material things, family and friends. A balanced, harmonious, fulfilling, and purposeful life that we live in for as long as we draw breath. Another word for this paradise would be utopia. A world we have created to live in that is pure fantasy. A dream world that is full of pure contentment. No failures, fear, anxiety, or hardships. A world where every decision is perfect. Every relationship is infinite. Every day is a major success. Every goal reached. Every pound lost. Every dollar spent, $1 million is gained. No blood, no sweat, no tears. Just one being comfortable, happy, and at peace in their life. Until suddenly everything changes. The sun turns black, like witnessing an eclipse. The warmth of the sun turns cold. The water dissipates. The food is lost. Right along with all the hope that things will return to what it used to be. The Norwegian dream was just that. A dream, a fantasy, an illusion. And relying too heavily on what it presented as far as contentment goes, was realized in the moment when it was uncontrollably taken away. We get lazy, complacent, take people, places, and things for granted. We believe we deserve it all, and then some. That dream, once it crumbles, quickly rotates into a nightmare, cold and unapologetic. It was never an authentic life. It would never work in reality. For all its wonder and glory, there was something missing: a balanced perspective. Complete contentment in the absence of hardships is not what it means to be human. That dream essentially is unhealthy. No person, place, or thing is perfect, nor should we want them to be. Hardships helps us grow empathy, compassion, confidence, patience, knowledge, clarity, wisdom, purpose, peace, and joy. We should mirror, create, and expand upon feelings the Norwegian dream gifts us. It is to be used as inspiration, a blueprint, not as an unattainable reality. Life, Episode 6, Living a Norwegian Dream. Yes, that's a very strange title, especially for a podcast dealing with life coaching and motivation. But the whole point of the color wave green is to get you as the listener and me as a person who is trying to get people to see things in a different light in life. It's all about exploring life. And I think getting out of your comfort zone and hearing the same thing over and over and over again from people is not healthy. Some of the titles I chose during this podcast, the color wave, as far as the green color wave life goes, was intentionally meant to say something differently that we already know how to say a certain way. None of the topics that I've picked out for this color wave have been about things we haven't heard of before. It's about looking at them in a different lens. It's about going past the surface level of these topics and moving into things that are deeper within inside of us. Because if you walk up to somebody and you ask them what's their favorite food, and they say, for let's just say they say fish. There's a lot more that goes into that than just fish. But we don't think like that. We think in very simple, basic terms, which is fine. You know, when we say fish, you can say, okay, what type of fish? Okay, where did the fish come from? How long was the fish alive? There's a story that goes into what you just said, a fish. But we don't say, my favorite food is fish. Primarily fish are between the ages of 3 and 5. And if they live that long, let's say 3 to 5 months. The 3 to 5 months, and they come from the Atlantic Ocean. And I particularly like it when this particular company gets them because their nets doesn't cut through the whatever. And they put them on ice and they ship them to my favorite store. My favorite store gives me a discount, so I'm more inclined to get this particular fish. And when I get it home, I like to bake it instead of fry it. I like to use it. And there's a lot to go into it, but nobody's going to say all that. They're going to say my favorite food is fish. It's up to the person talking to that person to want to inquire more about it, but that doesn't mean you're going to get more information. The person who said it is saying fish and fish alone for a reason. They want to keep it simple. It's not important to have all the details in there. So when we move that basic mindset into other areas of our life, is it good or bad to keep things simple? Is it easier just to say fish, or is it better to explore that question and just say a lot more? I don't think most people would say the basic thing is fish, right? Like you would just say fish. You wouldn't go into all the other aspects of it, how old it was, what company got it, and how you fillet it. Is it really necessary to say that unless someone asks? So how that bridges into a Norwegian dream, it comes from the concept that in our minds, there's a lot more going on than we don't allow other people to see. Through our words, through our actions, our behaviors, what our disciplines are. There's a lot more complex things going on inside of us that isn't always based in reality as well. One of the funny things about life is that we live another life when we dream. And the concept, you know, when I think of the Norwegian dream, I don't always think of you can think of it like people think mythology. But you can also think of it as it's just another way of saying we can pretty much create wherever we want in our minds. If we could sit and focus and say, okay, I'm going to simulate walking down the street, going to my favorite store and drinking my favorite coffee. Or I could simulate getting on a plane, even if I have never been on one. And I could fly anywhere I want. I can fly out of the atmosphere and go to another planet and, in a jumbo jet plane. Is that possible? No. But we can do it in our mind. We can picture purple skies. We can picture, all types of things and create all types of scenarios that do not exist in reality. But does it? If you're thinking of it, it does exist, especially if you can take it out of your mind and put it in the real world by speaking it, writing it down, drawing it, telling a story about it. Is it not real? When we look at films, is it not real because the story isn't real, or did it actually happen? Those actors had to act. That story had to be written. It's real. It's just as real as you are, which is why I think people love things like music and movies and reading a good book, because it feels like reality. Our brains cannot tell the difference unless you remind yourself, hey, this is just a story. If you remind yourself that all the time, but usually with entertainment, we want to lose ourselves in the story. We want to lose ourselves in the illusion. Do we do that with our lives every day? Do we lose ourselves in the illusion of a Norwegian dream, of a fantasy? We lose ourselves every night when we go to sleep. And there's studies, and there's been a lot of talk over the last few decades, obviously, about lucid dreaming. Can you control who you are in your dreams? And there's a particular mindset going into that you can, if you can learn how to control who you are in your dreams, it helps you in the real world when you wake up. If you can find some way to actively know that you're dreaming and be aware that you're dreaming while you're dreaming, and if you can practice it, it will translate into the real world. And I'm one of those people where I didn't even realize there's a small percentage of people who actually know they're dreaming when they're dreaming. I'm one of those people. For, I would say, going back into my early 20s, around the early 2000s, around 2005, I remember saying to myself every time I would wake up, I'm in complete control of my dreams. And I used to remember being able to, I would go into my dreams and work on flying. I still do this. I love to fly in my dreams. I do it all the time. I don't use cars. I don't use planes. I'm always flying here and there, and I control it. Every morning when I wake up, I can remember my dreams in detail because I'm in complete control of it. I make my own decisions. I am aware that my name is not Coach Tiger when I'm in my dreams. That if somebody refers to me as a different name, I take it and say, okay, but I know that it's a dream. And I think if you can apply this type of thing to real life, how many people are walking around right now and they're almost like they're living in a dream? Their reality as you see them is not lining up with what their reality is. Like they're completely in a lifestyle, they're completely in a life and in a routine, in a pattern of life for themselves that is they believe is working for them. But we on the outside, we're looking at them and we're like, not so much as judging them, but we're looking at them as in, we don't know what they're really capable of doing. Are they making decisions based on what they know is best for them? And I guess, that's when ultimate judgment comes in, because we look at other people and say, that was a poor choice to take that job at this particular time. That was a poor choice or great choice to take on this lover, or to buy that new dog. We do this all the time. We'll think about what other people should be doing in our own minds. Essentially, we're creating a fantasy about what other people should be doing with their lives in our minds. We're letting other people's issues and their relationships and their problems flood our content. Because if you're thinking about other people and what they should be doing to achieve better for themselves, unless you have some moral responsibility or obligation to those people and they're not a priority in your life, you're essentially wasting your own brain cells and your own vision on what other people should be doing. If you're thinking about other people that are not your priority, that means you are not taking the priority to think about yourself. And it takes away from your simplicity in life, which again, that Norwegian dream is all about being simple. One of the good things about it, dreaming and having these pathways in life where we can actually move forward and choose whether or not we want our life to be simpler than it actually is in the current moment. And that complete awareness of that is essential, because every human being probably gets into this snowball effect where things are getting out of control and we don't always know what that breaking point is, or where it's going to come, or when the momentum is going to stop, and we're going to be like, wait a minute, I've had a lot of momentum going in the wrong direction and I wasn't even aware of it. Or vice versa. You could have the momentum going and it stops and you realize, wow, I was really on a roll there and I just hit a fucking wall. What do I do now? I didn't realize my life was so complicated, or I didn't realize my life was so simple. I like it, or I don't like it. I want my life to have more. These are all things that are going on in people's lives. And when we don't focus on what we're doing, or we're so focused on what everyone else is doing, and it has no direct correlation to us because we don't have any obligations or connections with these people, places, or things, but we're letting them flood our thoughts, overcomplicating our mind, overcomplicating and overshadowing and getting in the way of our progress when it comes to discipline, when it comes to self-love, self-respect, what we want from ourselves in life. Time is ticking and we're spending it thinking about other people, other situations, places we want to go to, but we're not there yet. And this isn't like some type of, forward thinking anxiety issue where you're getting anxious because you want something to happen. These are things that are happening in real time where you're allowing your mind to wander to things that have nothing to do with your current reality. How simple do we want to make our lives? And what are the lengths we're willing to go to make sure that our life is aligned with all our values and principles and morals the best way they can possibly be, but also provide strength and security for ourselves while we're doing that, where we can trust ourselves to say, it doesn't really matter what other people are doing. It doesn't matter if I want to go to this place. It doesn't matter if I get this thing. Right now, in this moment, I'm content. I'm content with what I have. Now, everything may change in the next hour. Everything may change tomorrow, next month, next year. But right now, I'm pretty happy where I'm at. Life is pretty simple. I'm enjoying this. Or we have to take a step back and ask ourselves, is our life simple to the point where we're so content with being simple that we're not doing enough? And these are all questions we have to each ask ourselves. We can't just go with what we know. We also have to go with the feeling of what we know. It's not enough to just say, I'm content. You have to ask yourself, why are you content? It's not enough to say you're not content. You have to ask yourself why you're not content. There's always another question. There is no end. In the course of a lifetime, you're going to have an ebb and flow. Things don't always just keep going. Sometimes things slow down, the momentum shifts, the direction changes. The more aware we are of who we are and what we can and cannot control is paramount. It's a huge, big deal to know that there is more and we are a little bit too comfortable, or we're pushing the limit here. We're in the red and we're overcomplicating our lives for no damn reason. I suffer from this big time. This is a big reality for me, is adding on. In my mind, I'm making things easier because I'm going to, by adding this particular thing, I'm going to make my life easier because this is going to make me happy. And it will only make you happy in the long term. It may, in the short term, make you happy, but in the long term, that particular thing that you want, that you feel so attached to, is going to lose that attachment value, and you'll find out what those things are. And then you start being like, I don't know why I bought that. I haven't touched it in like 5 years. But at the time when I got it, I'm going to use this every day. We all, as human beings, have those things. Or that place that we say, I'm going to visit this place. You go to it one time. I'm going to be back here every week. You never return to it. Actively thinking about stuff like that will eliminate the junk, the clutter from your life. And unfortunately, that applies to people as well. That person that you thought was so special, but you wake up one day and realize, what has this person done for me? Is this an equal exchange here? These are things that we have to think about. How simple do we want our life? How much of a Norwegian dream do we want? Because we can create it. We can say that it's a dream, or we could say you're living one. That's why I entitled this Living a Norwegian Dream, meaning you are living a life of simplicity that, if you're in it, feels like a fantasy. It doesn't feel real. It's too good to be true, in a good way. A lot of people say it's too good to be true. They're thinking about in sense of karma. It's going to bite you in your ass. You are one step away from your life going down the toilet. Your life is too good. And people sit back and judge and wait for that to happen because, we live in a culture now where everybody's waiting for something to happen. Where's the drama? Where's the action? Where's the tears? Where's the blood? Where's the sweat? You're not doing enough. And that's them saying that. They're focused on exterior things, people in places that are not aligned with their values, doesn't have any type of priority or obligation in their life, but they're focused on that. They're waiting for something to happen. They're waiting for something to entertain them. They're waiting for somebody or some place or something to make them happy. And all the while, they are not even putting half that amount of energy and time and effort into their own lives to figure out, again, the question, why they think that way. Why do you care if someone else is fucking up in your eyes? Or why do you care if someone else is succeeding? If you take that thought process and you just start dwelling that away and you start cutting down on it like a sculpture, what you're going to get out of that rock of distraction from other people, places, and things, the sculpture is going to be you underneath. You're going to be who you want to be. You're not worried about what everyone else is doing. You're just worried about making your sculpture look like you and not like somebody else. Some unrecognizable hybrid of 25 people. When you're making a sculpture and you want to do a portrait or a sculpture of yourself, when you start to piece it together and it's getting close to being recognizable, you want to see yourself. And it takes time. It does take time. Having a simple, easy life, depending on where your road got you up into this point, there may be a lot of things that you have to change, and it's going to be very difficult to do that. It's not easy to live. When people say, I'm living the dream, that all goes back to that Norwegian dream concept of I'm living a dream. A dream can be a fantasy, a utopia. Excuse me. But one thing that is not, it's not something that other people can always see. It's something that you can only see. Unless you're walking around telling everybody every single day, I'm living the dream, I'm living the dream, I'm living the dream. People may look at you and say, what dream? What are you doing? They can't see everything about you. So what is the point of trying to display it? You want to be it. You want to be your dream. You want to be the person you know you can be. And it doesn't have to be projected out for everyone else to see. I personally think everyone would see it anyway. The happier you are, the more you can project a life that other people will want to emulate. Imitation is a great form of, people being flattered by you. It's flattering to see other people say, your smile is contagious. Your work ethic is contagious. Your discipline is contagious. Your motivational, inspirational spirit helps people without you even realizing it, because you're not talking about it. You're just doing whatever it is you do that aligns with what you do. And it comes off as you looking very content and comfortable and simple, even though they don't know you may be pushing for something more. You may be adding things on every single day. I know I do. I try to add knowledge every single day. I try to see how far I can push my body every single day. But those things are simple for me. Those are things that are aligned with me. That is just the type of person that I am. For other people, they may have a different set of rules, a different set of fantasies and dreams for themselves that we can't see. So we have to just block out all that and come back to ourselves. We have to trust that everybody out there is doing their own part, doing their thing. And the things that we are going to be curious about and align with are going to come into our lives whether we like it or not. So really just actively going out and trying to project upon other people what you're doing is unnecessary. It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary to even look at other people and say, I wonder what this person is thinking. The best way to know that is by asking them, right? But we spend a lot of time observing and looking at other people. We're human beings. We're curious people. We're curious creatures. We want to know what everyone else is doing because we judge ourselves, and we kind of gives ourselves a marker and some type of a gauge to see, are we doing things that are quote unquote normal? Are we thinking too far out the box? Are we letting our dreams and our goals and our hope and what we want for ourselves, is it starting to be too much to ask? And the answer to that is absolutely not, if that's what you want from life. If what you're seeking doesn't line up with all the people that are around you, that doesn't mean you're quote unquote abnormal, quote unquote living in a dream world, in a fantasy world, because you want to do something that someone else claims is unattainable for you because it's unattainable for them. These aren't the people that we want to be looking at and gauging ourselves off of. We want to look at people and gauge ourselves off people who are doing things that are similar to us. And if you feel like your life is simple, peaceful, and joyous, those are the people that you're going to have around you. And you're not going to be sitting there having a staring contest, judging each other about what your actions are, what your words are. It's going to come easy, because that's what life is. Life is easy. Everything around us is happening that we don't control. You get up every morning. How much effort do you think it takes for the sun to come up in the morning? Now, it's a perspective thing. Is the sun actually coming up, or we rotating? You can get into all that. But the point is that everything around us that's in nature looks very easy. Nothing looks like it's struggling. Even animals, when they're, when they have the predators hunting down the prey, at its when you look at it, it looks very vicious and dangerous to see a lion chasing an animal, capturing it, turning it to pieces and eating. But in the grand scheme of things, that is a very natural flowing thing that this earth is all about. The circle of life. We have to keep going on. That's easy. You can look at that and say that's something that is, the lion is hungry, he needs to eat. It's not a peaceful way of looking at it where you say, this is obviously peaceful to watch this lion tear through this animal. It's not as peaceful as watching that animal that lion is turned into. It was, grazing on the grass and eating very peacefully and in a herd. But that's the whole point. The lion is what it's doing to get its food may seem a little more complicated and fierce and not as beautiful and poetic as watching a gazelle graze, watching giraffes eat off the limbs of trees. That looks very peaceful. And then you look at a hyena and they're grabbing people maybe people too. They're grabbing their prey, turn them to the ground, and they're like, they're swarming, and it's very violent. But it's still nature, it's still life. That doesn't mean the hyena is wrong for doing what it's doing to get its food, or the giraffe is wrong with what it's doing. It's a reality. It's a reality. And maybe if they had the brain composition as human beings do to actually do things like fantasize of, what if I tried to get my food a different way? A hyena cannot wake up and say, I'm a vegetarian today. I'm sick of doing this shit. I'm tired of eating. They don't think like that. They don't even contain the capability of being able to process that this is a better option for me. I don't want to be violent. I'm going to eat the grass because I'm tired of eating meat. I don't want to kill anyone else. You see the gift that human beings have. We have the gift of pure choice that most organisms on this planet do not have. Choice, a conscious choice to really see our lives and be able to change it. To change things that we don't like. If you look at our closest relatives, if you look at a chimpanzee, they can only even grasp that so much. They don't think in real time, I should really get out of this forest and find some type of way to get on one of those things that I see flying up in the sky, get on that plane and start a new life in America. They don't have the capability of thinking like that. The extent of their capability is, this tree sucks. I'm not getting enough food over here. My family's over there. I'm getting too far away. I'm going to get over there. And once I get over there, I'm going to grab some water and maybe grab something to eat. Then I'm going to chill out in the sun. Those are the choices. And for that particular animal, that is a highly sophisticated way of getting through the next hour. It's, we don't have enough. It's mind-boggling to me that human beings do not understand the gifts that we have to be able to make choices like that long term, to think 10 years down the line, where most organisms are not thinking about any timeline. They're just getting through the next moment by moment by moment. They don't have the capability of dreaming up some blueprint of life and navigating it and saying, I'm on task, I'm on goal. Even ants, they look like they're running around and they have all these goals and figuring everything out, but it's nature. It's simple. They know what they have to do. They know their purpose. They know they're alive for one thing only, and they do their job. And then they're gone before life is really even acknowledged that they're here. So we are living in a fantasy when you think about it that way to begin with. The human brain is it's full of so much potential in what we can do. We can sit back, close our eyes, and visualize whatever we want. And then when we open our eyes, most of it, unless we got too crazy, we could pretty much put it into action. We could sit down and say, this is what I want to do for the next 5 hours, and make it happen. And even do that, counteracting things that we haven't even thought was going to happen, and still be able to complete our goal. That's incredible. That is incredible. That we can live our lives and we use words like dream and hope and fantasy. We can live our lives in ways where other organisms, if they had the capability of thinking like we do, will look at our lives and look at us like we were like the old stories of mythology. Too good to be true. Unbelievable. They wouldn't believe what we could do. It's just incredible how powerful the mind is, that we can think things and then get it out of our bodies and make it happen. All that being said, it comes back to being, what are you going to do about it? And why are you going to do anything that you're doing? If you have the capability of dreaming up whatever you want, and some people, again, walk around saying they're living the dream because they got the dream job, the dream family, the dream car, the dream house, the dream vacations. They're living a dream. And for the poorest person out there who doesn't have anything to living underneath a bridge, they would look at something like that and say, wow, this guy is not living only a dream that they say that they are. They're living a fantasy as far as I'm concerned. I'm never going to have that. And this person's reality is aligning with that. They have no other reason to think anything different. Which is why, again, it's important to know that just because you're in a spot, just because you are living in the moment and the rules seem to be the rules in that moment, nothing can be broken, nothing can be changed. That does not mean that's all there is. It's a perception thing. The person who's living underneath the bridge has every right to feel that they feel about themselves in that current situation. When the hopelessness is setting in, they're giving up, no one's helping. All it takes is the person who says they're living a dream to walk up and say, hey, how would you like a job? Suddenly that person underneath that bridge has gone from having no hope to having a fighting chance. Even if the job is, how would you like to wash my car, and here's $25. We as humans are capable of making someone's nightmare into a beautiful dream in a split second, depending on who we help, who we're listening to, how we perceive ourselves, what do we have to offer other people without expecting anything in return. If we're living the dream and we have everything we want and we're content and we're happy, what are we doing about it? Are we just living it? Are we content with just being happy and smiling at other people and not helping anyone? Not wanting to grow and become a better person? Each individual, again, has to figure that out for themselves. But when we're walking around here and everyone's judging themselves, they're basing their lives on, why did this happen to me? Why didn't this happen to me? I give up. We have to remind ourselves that we create our own happiness. Life is happening to everyone and everything around us, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be whatever it is we want to be. We can visualize in our minds whatever it is we want to be, and we can, in real time, do something that can help us get to where we want to be. It may not be fast. It may not be ultimately in the end exactly how we envisioned it, but we have the opportunity. We have the opportunity. We have the opportunity to trust ourselves, to set goals that are aligned with our purpose, and we have the opportunity to live a joyful, peaceful life that we see fit for ourselves, not for what other people see fit for ourselves. No one else can dream your dreams for you when you're asleep, so no one can live your life when you're awake. Your mission for today is to not have a mission. It's to enjoy a simple life today. To try in the next 24 hours. See if you can simplify your life down to the most basic necessities. Do only what you need to do. Talk to only who you need to talk to. Fulfill the obligations for only the obligations that are aligned with your purpose, not obligations that other people feel are obligations for them. Your mission is to not have a mission today. Your mission is to just be simple. To see a version of yourself as your most simplest form. Your basic necessities, but also what you feel you're aligned with in life. Meaning you get to do the things that you love to do while having to have your obligations, but still making everything as simple as possible. Not overcomplicating every task. Not overthinking every situation. Not being pessimistic. Not procrastinating. Doing everything the right way. Creating your own happiness. Taking control of your own mindset. Being honest about, are you disciplined or not? Giving, not taking. That is your mission for today. To do everything in this simplest form. Because that is a form of repetition. If you can do that every single day, and you start with just one day, and you add on the next, you add on the next, you add on the next. That simple life, that living the dream mentality will become just that. A mentality and discipline in your life. But we have to simplify it, and we can use this opportunity today to think about, if we simplify A, B, and C, how it would help us get through each and every day with as much joy and purpose as possible. This is your day. You are here now. These are your moments. You own them. You are brave, bold, powerful. You do believe in yourself. You know you have more in the tank. You know the glass is half full. There's still more room for improvement. There is no end. Believe, believe, believe in yourself. Trust yourself. Trust that you can do whatever it takes to accomplish whatever you want from life. You don't procrastinate. You don't embellish. You don't lie. You are true to yourself. Knowledge is in your mind. Peace is in your heart. Balance is in your body. Purpose is in your soul. You are greatness. The sky is not the limit. You have purpose, fulfilling, intentful purpose. You are here for a reason. You are unique. You are self-love, self-discipline, self-respect, self-control. You have self-awareness. You are joy, peace, happiness. You are freedom. And yet you are connected to every person, place, and thing in the universe. And if no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall. Learn, laugh, and level up.